An effective technique for adding mixed numbers with unlike denominators is to generate equivalent fractions in order to find a common denominator. In this video, we will use this technique to add two mixed numbers with unlike denominators. In each case, the fraction sums are less than 1, and the solution is written as a mixed number in simplest form. Let's start with an example. A recipe calls for a certain amount of milk and water. Given the measurements shown, what is the total volume of milk and water used in the recipe? In this example, we are adding 1 1/4 and 1 1/3 as shown here. We can separate the whole number parts and the fraction parts and add them separately, as shown here. We now just need to find a common denominator for 1/3 and 1/4. We generate a set of equivalent fractions for 1/3 and 1/4 until we find a common denominator of 12. We can now add the fractions. We combine the fractions and then add the fraction sums to the whole number. The result is the mixed number 2 7/12. Let's look at another example. Two sets of pattern blocks are shown. The yellow block represents a whole unit, the blue represents a third, and the red represents half. What mixed number addition expression does this model? What is the sum? Pattern blocks can be used to model fractions, and in this case they are used to model mixed numbers. The yellow hexagon has a value of 1. The blue parallelogram has a value of 1/3. The red trapezoid has a value of 1/2. The two sets of pattern blocks model this mixed number expression, 1 1/3 plus 1 1/2. We can use the pattern blocks themselves to model the sum. We combine the whole number parts to get 1 plus 1. To combine the 1/3 and 1/2 pieces, we need to introduce the green triangular piece, which is equivalent to 1/6. As you can see, there are two green triangles in the parallelogram piece and 3 green triangles in the trapezoidal piece. This gives us the equivalent fractions 2/6 and 3/6. We can now rewrite the mixed number form with common denominators. And the result is 2 5/6. Let's look at a final example. For a deck, two planks are side by side. The first plank is 5 1/4 inches wide, and the second plank is 7 2/5 inches wide. What is their combined width? Using the measurements shown, we get the following addition statement: 5 1/4 plus 7 2/5. We combine the whole number parts and add the fractional parts as shown here. To find a common denominator for 1/4 and 2/5, generate equivalent fractions. You can see that the common denominator is 20. This common denominator happens to be the product of 4 and 5. Because 4 and 5 don't have any common factors, the common denominator is the product of 4 and 5. When two numbers don't have common factors, they are said to be relatively prime. We can now add the fraction parts and then combine the sum with the whole number part. The result is 12 13/20.